Okay, so get this right. A friend of mine, and this is in like a totally normal Brooklyn school, not some, super fancy private school.
Yeah.
She was at this curriculum night thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the English teacher actually had to straight up tell all the parents
Wow.
to stop paying tutors to do their kids' homework.
Oh, wow.
Like, seriously, my friend's jaw, like, hit the floor, and I have to admit, so did mine when I heard about it.
Yeah, you always kind of think that's like this rare thing.
Yeah, you just picture some kid trying to get away with something, not like a school-wide issue.
Exactly. You picture like one sneaky kid, not like the teacher having to address it
Right.
with the entire parent body.
It's wild.
Yeah, and that kind of surprise really speaks to, this idea we have of students being these independent learners, which maybe isn't quite the reality,
Yeah, totally.
especially when you look at what's happening in these wealthier communities.
Right. And actually, that whole story is what kind of sparked today's deep dive. We're going to be looking at this whole over-tutoring culture in wealthier families,
Mm-hmm.
really digging into whether it actually helps kids succeed or ends up creating a bunch of other problems.
And we're lucky to have some really interesting material to work with today.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're not just speculating. We've got these firsthand accounts from parent-teacher meetings, people in the tutoring world, and then some really insightful analysis of the potential effects on kids.
Right. It's not just anecdotal.
Yeah.
What we want to get to is like the real scale of this over-tutoring, what's pushing parents to do it, and what it means for their kids in the long run.
Yeah.
By the end, you should have a way clearer picture of what's going on. And one of the first things that jumped out at me was that it's not even just about like getting extra help with a tough subject. It's straight up handing over entire assignments.
Yeah, that English teacher's warning is such a powerful place to start, right? It
Yeah.
shifts the conversation from like, oh, they're getting a little help to, whoa, this is academic dishonesty.
Yeah, it gets serious really fast.
And then the examples in the text really like drive that point home.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about fixing grammar or going over math problems.
Right.
The source actually mentions people asking the National Test Prep Association to write college application essays for them.
I know. It's incredible.
And the professional who told that story was like, these parents are basically looking for accomplices.
Yeah.
It's a crazy ethical line they're crossing.
Yeah, it really makes you think the goal for some of these parents, it's not even about their kid learning how to express themselves.
Right.
It's just getting that acceptance no matter what.
It's like the ends justify the means,
Yeah.
and the means are someone else doing the work.
Exactly.
And then there's this tutor in the piece who, even though they were uncomfortable with it, agreed to write assignments because they felt like someone else would if they didn't. That's like a whole other level of pressure on tutors.
Absolutely. And that suggests, this really competitive environment where tutors feel like they have to do these, morally iffy things to get work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about the parents. There's like a system pushing this behavior.
It's like a whole ecosystem, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there are even more blatant examples, right? Like this tutoring agency that just sends ninth grade math work directly to the tutor to finish the student isn't even involved.
It's not tutoring anymore at that point. That's just outsourcing their homework.
Right. Like, what's the point even?
Yeah.
And then there's the example of tutors being asked to write American history essays in just 3 hours. It's all about getting it done, not about the student actually learning anything.
Mm-hmm. It's about checking a box, not learning.
So it makes you wonder, what are these parents really aiming for? Are they actually concerned about their kids learning and growing?
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to create this perfectly smooth path for their kids.
Right. But the piece makes a great point, that when kids do their own work, even when it's tough, they learn so much more.
Absolutely.
They learn how to write, they learn to take risks with their ideas, they learn to deal with hard stuff, and they learn from their mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Those are like the essential skills.
Aren't they?
Okay.
It's how we actually learn and grow.
Yeah. And that example of the Great Gatsby essay really nails it.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
If a tutor writes that essay about the Great Gatsby,
Mm.
the student misses out on understanding those big ideas. Materialism, the American dream.
Totally. They haven't wrestled with Fitzgerald's words or, figured out the symbolism.
Right.
Or made their own argument.
It's like the A they get doesn't mean anything.
Right. It's meaningless. And it's not even just about like the blatant cheating, is it? The piece talks about this whole toxic culture of over-tutoring, where even kids who are already doing well in like top private schools are getting tutored all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting how it goes beyond like preventing kids from failing. It's about actively trying to make them even more successful, even if they're already succeeding.
Yeah, like they're already getting A's and B's,
Right, exactly.
but the parents still want to push them further.
So you get this like really competitive atmosphere.
Yeah, like hiring a tutor to bump a B+ up to an A.
Exactly. And that Manhattan private school consultant, her perspective is like really eye-opening.
Oh, yeah. What she said was crazy.
She's saying this stuff often backfires. Like, you get this small grade bump, but the kid ends up way more stressed.
And she said over half the kids being tutored probably don't even need it.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's like tutoring has become this status symbol, not something that's actually helping kids learn.
Totally.
And then you have this whole issue of kids feeling like they're not good enough, like they always need someone to help them.
Right, like they can't do it on their own.
The message is your own effort isn't enough. You always need this paid expert to succeed.
Yeah, and that can really mess with a kid's confidence.
Totally. There are kids in the piece who have tutors for almost every single subject. It makes you wonder if they'll ever learn how to learn on their own.
Yeah, like how do they handle college or even just life without someone holding their hand through everything?
It's ironic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The parents are trying to make everything easy for their kids.
Yeah.
But they might actually be making them less capable.
It's like they're accidentally teaching them to be helpless, which is, the opposite of what they're going for.
Exactly. And the piece uses history as a great example. It's not just memorizing dates and names. It's about analyzing events, understanding why things happen, looking at different perspectives.
Right.
And you learn that by really engaging with the material yourself.
You got to do the work.
If you outsource that, you're not exercising those mental muscles.
Exactly. You're missing out on that crucial skill development.
So these kids might be acing their tests and getting into great schools, but will they be able to think for themselves, adapt to new situations, and handle setbacks?
That's the big question, right? It's like they're being set up to succeed in a very specific way, but what happens when things don't go according to plan?
Right. What happens when they encounter something they haven't been prepped for? And it doesn't stop at high school, does it? The article talks about this tutoring extending into college and even the job search.
Yeah, it's like, where does it end? Will they have tutors writing their work emails, doing their spreadsheets, maybe even writing their wedding vows?
It sounds ridiculous, but it really gets at this, lack of self-sufficiency that might be developing.
It's like they might look like successful adults, but they don't have the skills to actually be independent.
And the piece mentions this tutor who worked with over-tutored college students. And they were struggling with serious stuff, drug problems, anxiety, unhappiness, even though on the surface, they looked successful.
Yeah, that really shows how external success and internal well-being can be totally disconnected.
Totally. They have the grades, the internships, but underneath, they're not okay.
It suggests this constant chase for achievements driven by parents and this over-tutoring culture might actually be harming kids' mental and emotional health.
And it's important to remember a lot of this probably comes from good intentions. Parents wanting the best for their kids, wanting to shield them from struggles.
Yeah, the article mentions how comforting it can be for parents to see a tutor working with their child.
Right. It gives them this feeling of, okay, we're doing everything we can.
Exactly.
But what the piece really argues is that kids need to face challenges. They need to experience failure, to learn from their mistakes, to build that inner strength that comes from overcoming obstacles on their own.
And that struggle, that process of figuring things out independently is what builds real confidence.
Exactly. And when you take that away from kids, you're actually preventing them from developing those crucial skills.
You're basically taking away their chance to learn how to be resourceful and resilient.
And the conclusion of the piece has this really stark warning that all this anxiety about getting into elite schools and high-powered careers might actually be creating a generation of what they call pseudo-elites.
I know, that's a powerful term.
Right. It's like these kids are groomed for these elite environments, but they don't actually have the skills to survive in them.
It's a scary thought, right? This intense pressure to achieve could actually be preventing kids from developing the skills and resilience they need, not just to succeed, but to actually be happy and fulfilled in those demanding fields.
Absolutely. So to sum it all up, what we see in this material is that outsourcing schoolwork is surprisingly common among wealthy families. And it's not just about helping kids with their schoolwork. It's about getting those specific results, the good grades, the fancy college acceptances.
Right.
But this approach can have serious consequences, making kids anxious, dependent, and preventing them from developing skills that are crucial for long-term success and happiness.
And it's like the very things they're doing to make their kids' lives easier might actually be setting them up for bigger challenges down the road.
It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? So here's something for you to think about. What does this whole trend say about our values as a society? What does it say about how we view achievement, hard work, and what it means to truly succeed? Is all this pressure to make sure our kids reach certain milestones actually blinding us to what they really need to thrive in life? That's something to consider as you think about everything we've talked about today.
Yeah, definitely something to ponder.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive. It's been a thought-provoking one for sure.
It's been great.
Until next time.
See ya.